we're gonna talk about it again. Sorry, Facebook, live people. Facebook is just like doing it to me every week, but never mind. We're gonna still continue.
We're gonna persevere.
We're gonna persevere. You know, Instagram is just being good. No one, it has not gone off, but Facebook's been going off.
So much.
But anyway, before you talk,
yes,
just wanted to say really quickly that, you know, we need to speak to our parents. Our children, my children, need to speak to me and ask me certain questions. You know, this is a pandemic that we're in. Anything can happen at any time. People are dying at any age. They ain't got no special age now to die. Lots of things are happening. So we need to put certain things in place. We have to put things in place. Otherwise, the government, they take it all. Did you not know that? If you don't put, so it doesn't matter whether you might have £100 or a £1,000 or £1,000,000 or whatever, right? If you don't put something in place, the government takes it. And I don't think a lot of us don't even know that. But this is why we've got P back on again today. And she's going to explain all about, you know, this wills and all that, because it's not something that we really talk about. We think, oh, we're young, we don't need to do that, we're not dying now. Rubbish. We can die at any time. So we got P back on again tonight by popular demand. By you guys have asked for her to come back on tonight to shed some more information, give you guys some more information. So without further ado, I'm going to put you guys back on to Auntie P. Okay?
All right. So, guys, ladies and gentlemen out there, we're going to start with a couple of things. Number one, you don't know what you don't know. Remember, you don't know what you don't know. And so what I'm going to share with you are some real nuggets about how you can manage your estate and communicate with your children as well as your parents. So we're going to start with the topic of wills. Marjorie, do you have a will?
No, I don't actually.
Yeah? Mm-hmm. Do you know 7 out of 10 people die without actually having a will in the UK?
I know, it's so bad, but you know, you think like, oh, I'm all right. I'm not that sick, or I'm not, you know, you just think to yourself that when you get a little bit older, that that's when you need to do a will. Mm-hmm. You don't think you need to do a will while you're young, unless you've got loads and loads of property and stuff like that. That's what I think anyway.
Yeah. Now, the reality is that a will is a distribution document. It's a distribution document that says to those that you leave behind, this is what I want you to do with my affairs. So if I've got £100 and I've got 2 children, I want it split 50-50. Or if I've got 5 children, 3 grandchildren, you may have a look at different percentages. But without that document in place, the law of intestacy is different. And the law of intestacy states that if you die intestate, then first thing it goes to your wife if you are married, not cohabiting, not living together, married, then it goes to your spouse.
So if you're not married and you've been living with someone for like 20 years, it doesn't automatically go to them?
Not at all. Not without a will. So, and this is one of the challenges that is there. So where 2 individuals are cohabiting in the same property, maybe owning it 50-50, or it's owned by one, and if the primary owner passes, that property has to get sold. The survivor then gets displaced unless they have lifetime interest. Bit complex. However, I'm going to kind of get back to some basics. Not everyone needs to make a will, but it's advisable if you have property and if you have children. And it's something you should really review every 5 years. The same way you kind of look at your car insurance every year, you should have, and you look at your health, you need to look at your will and your estate and your affairs. because your dynamics of your relationship changes.
So you're supposed to be changing your will on a regular basis.
Absolutely.
So say if you lived with someone, you got your partner, whatever, you lived with him for years, and then you broke up, obviously you have to change your will.
Yes.
Otherwise, everything's going to go to him.
Yeah, he will be a beneficiary. Yeah? If he was a
That's
beneficiary before and circumstances have changed, he will remain a beneficiary. So there was a case where a man wrote in a will, because he had a Ferrari, that he wants his friend John to have a Ferrari. However, at the time of his death, his Ferrari was sold. The family had to, by law, sell the family house in order to buy the Ferrari, because that's what was in the will. Oh. So you also have to be very careful about what you do with your will.
What you say
and what you say in your will. And even if you're married or you have a blended family, you have to take on board the considerations. So, for example, if you're engaged now and it's your house and your partner moves in, then you get married, something happens to you, he gets everything. Your children get nothing. The terminology is called sideways disinheritance. If your children are adults, they will not be eligible for anything or very little. Now, depending on what estate you leave behind, he may get, or she may get, the first £250,000. And then the children get 50% of the balance, and then the other 50% goes to the surviving spouse. It gets quite complicated, so it does need expert advice, hence why people charge. So if your estate is less than £50,000 and you think it's simple, you can write that on a piece of paper. But the criteria to make sure that your will is legal is that it must be signed in front of 2 independent witnesses who are not beneficiaries and not family members. Have you got that?
Oh, so you've got to get someone independent to sign that. Even if it's just a piece of paper.
Yes. If it's something basic, you could do it like that. However, in terms of the language that is used, your wishes may not be adhered to if you keep it that simple. So it is often better to get some advice, or at least to do something more functional. So your will can either be a document of distribution. However, it can also be a document of protection. And protection is where property comes in. Or, say for example, you have a vulnerable adult that you need to take care of. Yeah? Or you've got young grandchildren, or you've got a son-in-law who you're not quite sure about, and you don't want your daughter to inherit, and then he's saying, thank you very much. Yeah? That happens a lot. And in fact, there have been cases in law where people have taken advantage of people who have dementia, married them in order to gain their estate. Can you believe that? I've actually got some articles on it.
I can't believe that. I hope you guys are engaging. If you don't feel that you want to jump in at some point and ask a question, please do. Don't wait until everything and you think, oh, I wanted to ask a question, but I can't remember. Now is the time to ask the question. So we have a secretary here today. I'm getting off in the world. All right. I've got a secretary here today that will be writing down all the questions that you lot want to ask, Pete. Yeah? So, just if you want to ask something, you're not sure about something, or there's a situation or whatever, and you want to ask about it, send in a text.
Yeah.
And then Pete will answer you and let you know where you stand. Yeah? So, don't be shy to send a text if there is something that you're not sure about.
Or email me. Email me at auntiep with a Y 2020@gmail.com. So that's auntiep2020@gmail.com, and I'll aim to respond within 48 hours. But your numbers, let me tell you about the numbers. In terms of inheritance tax, which is the thing that most people are trying to escape from, it's £325,000 free of tax that can be assigned before tax is paid. You with me?
Okay, I thought it was that I didn't know it was a certain amount.
It's a certain value. So if you've got property less than that, there's nothing to worry about other than what I would call where challenges within the family. So that's why it's important to have the will, so you can dictate especially how you want your estate to be divided. and other considerations. So the number is £325,000 worth of value, free of tax. No tax.
Okay.
But everything over that £325,000 will be taxed at 40% non-negotiable. 40p in the pound. However, and I say however, there are some other benefits that can be assigned which will reduce down your inheritance tax. So for example, if you are actually married, on paper married, you will actually have the benefit of both your as well as your spouse is value. So that's £650,000. So that's a little bit better, especially from a London point of view, especially if you have property.
Yeah.
Yeah. For those of you that have insurance policies, if you make sure that the beneficiary is actually assigned on the paperwork, it's not classed as part of your estate. So as a result, guess what? There is no tax. Yeah. In terms of assigning gifts, you can give away money on a regular basis. That's another way of using up your allowance, but free of tax.
Okay.
Yeah, and if you're giving away large sums and you survive 7 years, there is what? No tax. So what we now have to do as people is that we now have to plan. Where you fail to plan, you plan to fail. And you have to do forward planning. Hence why when you see the word estate planning, that is to help you to protect your estate in the long term. It's to help you to protect your assets, to distribute your assets for your legacy. Because you work hard for a reason. You work hard to build a legacy for those that you love, for those that you care about. Agreed?
Yeah.
Yeah? So, and this is why it's important. However, have you heard of the term executorship or an executor?
Yeah, I've heard of the term executor. I'm not really sure what the executor does, but I have heard of it.
Yeah? Now, the executor is the person that you assign as your administrator should you pass before them. And they are there to actually make sure that everybody gets sorted out in line with your wishes in your will. Yeah? And often people pick their friends or a family member.
Yeah.
Yeah? Because they think that they're going to look after them. And generally they do and they can. However, they don't always have the legal experience to apply for all of the allowances. So if you have the right level of experience and you're in a married couple, you can actually have as much as £1 million worth of assets distributed free of tax, providing you've planned early.
$1 million?
£1 million. Yeah.
Wow. I didn't know that.
But as I said in the first off, you don't know what you don't know.
Oh, who's on here?
Yeah. So I'm going to share with you. I'm going to share with you a story.
Hi, Jamila.
Hi, Jamila.
Hey.
Yeah. I'm going to share with you guys a story. Beware, executors are all liable for inheritance tax. I don't know if you can see that. There was an article in the Telegraph a couple of years ago where a man asked his good friend, will you be executors to make sure that my 3 boys get looked after, and they don't argue? And the friend said, yes, of course, you're my friend. I will do this. And he signed up as an executor with a clean heart. With a clean heart. And the man left behind property, the residential house, and he left behind some money. And the man signed off and he applied. In terms of when someone dies, you have to apply for the grant of probate. When someone dies.
Yeah.
You have to fill out the IHT forms, the 205 or the 400.
Just trying to see, who is this? Who's waving and who's could you let us know, please, what if there's anybody asking any questions? I can see some messages coming up and I can see people waving.
Yeah. So let me tell you about this executor, because some of you may have been asked to be an executor and you may be thinking about who to assign as an executor. Now, this particular case, he was the sole executor. He completed the paperwork, he submitted it to HMRC, Her Majesty's Revenue and Customs, and there was an excess of £300,000 to be paid in terms of tax, because the man had a property that was over his allowance, and so it's 40p in the pound. However, as the executor, he has a 25-year liability in terms of making sure that HMRC get paid. Now, in this particular instance, he said to the boys, right, there's £300,000 of tax to be paid when the house is sold. We've got to pay the inland revenue and then you can split the rest. The boy said, yeah, no worry, unks. We're good. No worries, we'll sort it. Don't worry, we will sort it. Their definition of sort it was the house was sold, they took the money, and then they fled to the Caribbean with all of the money.
That sounds about right, isn't it?
Because they knew that in the Caribbean, on a legal front, there's no one going to be sending them back.
Going to tell them nothing, is there?
However, it's the executor who's now responsible.
Oh.
So that bill doesn't go away. That bill is now left with a man who is trying to do well by a friend to look after his affairs. And now when he sells his house, he's going to have to pay HMRC, and his own children now will have to do without.
Oh no.
All because he was trying to be nice.
Because he was trying to be nice.
Yeah, so the solution around it is you have a friend and you can actually assign a professional. You can negotiate with solicitors if you don't have a probate specialist there to actually organise your affairs. A good probate specialist will actually help you save money. They will actually deduct some allowances. Yeah, they will actually make sure the family get more of the money.
Okay.
But it does come at a price. So Heir Hunters, for those of you who've watched that program, Heir Hunters, they'll take 30% of your estate.
Yeah.
Yeah. Your banks, be careful of the free wills from a bank, be very mindful, they'll take up to maybe 10% of the estate
So
value.
if you get a will, if you get go to the bank and say, I want to do a will, they take, how much do they take?
Okay,
right.
All right, let me put it in perspective. A few years ago, the banks were saying, everybody needs to have a will. We're going to give you a free will.
Yes, I saw that.
Yeah, they give you the free will, but in the small print, it said, we will be the executors of your estate.
Okay.
And because the contract is with the deceased,
the
beneficiaries can't argue.
No, you can't.
And then their attitude is almost, well, you didn't have it in the first place, so what's the problem? Yeah?
Cheat.
And then they take 10% plus fees and disbursements. It can be expensive, but as I said, as with anything, you can shop around. Some solicitors will charge between 5%, some 7%. It all depends on the value of the estate. Shop around. In those moments of grief, shop around. And if you want to assign it within your will...
But it's really difficult for people to shop around in grief.
Then that's the thing.
It's really difficult. When you've lost a loved one, you're not going to think about, let me shop around.
And this is
That's the bottom line. I'm telling you, because I've lost my mum.
Yeah.
And I was not thinking about, let me shop around.
But within her will, had she said the executor is this person and this company and the fees are this and it's already been pre-done, you would have been in an easier place. In the same way, if I remember rightly, your mum actually organised her own funeral plan.
Yeah, my mum organised her funeral. She organised everything. She said, basically what she said, I want to take Shim out on an eye. That's what she said. I said, well, why would you say that? But that's what she said. No, I want my own thing. I don't want you guys to do what you lot feel like you want to do. So she organised everything herself. We just followed her wishes, which was good. It was comforting in a way because that was a load off of our minds, actually. But, people do need to organise themselves.
Yeah. You worked hard for your money and you know what you want for yourself in life. So you just try and make sure that you cover all the bases. Now, I'm going to cut through to a different subject. Power of attorney. Have you heard of the term?
Yes, I've heard of power of attorney.
Do you know what it is?
It's somebody that is if the person it's got I think dementia or something like that, someone that will take over and make the decisions and stuff for that person because they're not in their right state of mind.
Nearly there.
Oh.
Yeah, you're nearly there. So I'm going to fill in some gaps. A power of attorney is probably equally as important as your will. I'll repeat again. Organising a power of attorney is equally as important as organising your will, and I'll explain to you why. If in the event that you have an accident, an incident, and you lose mental capacity, whether you knock your head and don't know yourself, your affairs will get frozen if you don't have power of attorney. Your affairs will get taken over by your local authority if you don't have mental capacity. However, your power of attorney can only be created once you have a sound mind. So if you have a sound mind, you can get it organised, you can do it yourself online or pay a professional, and the registration is £82 and it's there for life. And it's a legal obligation. And let's kind of dispel the myths. Whoever you assign as attorney cannot just run away with your money and spend it willy-nilly. Yeah?
Yeah.
Because that's one of the fears. They can only do an action based on your permission. So if you've broken your leg and you need to get something out the bank and you need to do certain bits, you can give them an authority to do that and only that. And here's the thing. If they decide that they're going to go off and spend 20 grand on their own or of your money, they can be taken to jail. They can be taken to court because they have a legal obligation to make sure that everything they do is in your best interest.
Okay.
Yeah? Only in your best interest.
Yeah.
So no fun holiday with friends. There's an
But people do it though.
I know.
People do it because I know people that have done that.
But
They got their money, their power of attorney, and they take the money and they go off and they've gone on holiday and they buy a car and do lots of things.
with other people's money.
Yeah.
But in law, if they are reported, the Office of Public Guardians can come in and take them to court. But somebody has got to bring it up. Financial abuse is just as important as any other abuse, whether that be racial, emotional or other.
I don't
Or
even think
physical.
about financial abuse.
It's a
I didn't even
financial
know that.
abuse.
There was a, I know people do abuse finance, but I never looked at it in that kind of way to say financial abuse.
Yeah, absolutely. Because you're taking advantage of someone's situation for your own personal benefit. And the one thing you can't do as an attorney is technically actually benefit financially. But what it does give comfort to, especially if they're your attorneys, is that you can actually state what you want. So if you don't eat pork, you can state in your attorney, don't feed me pork.
So can I ask, so can somebody change their power of attorney then? Like to say like you've got a parent and your parent makes you a power of attorney and say, you know, they get married to someone and all of a sudden things start going haywire and this person that they've married to decide they want to take over the home, they want to take over everything to do with that. Will that still stand? And then you realise that your parent has got dementia.
Right, so...
But they have not really been diagnosed with it.
Yeah, it's early onset. And this is why it's important when you're dealing with the health, because the powers of attorney come in two parts. There's health and there's property. So let's cover off the health first. With the health, it gives the attorneys the control to decide whether you go into an old people's home or a care home or be cared for at home based on what you've written in your attorneyship, in your details. You can state that you want to make sure you go on a holiday, that in terms of your health, that you do not want to be resuscitated more than 3 times.
Yeah.
You can be very clear about your desire, your intentions, if you don't want to live like a cabbage or if you want to have private care. You can have all of that within your power of attorney, but it's only applicable when you're alive. The moment you're dead, all bets are off. Nothing matters anymore. So with the health, you can determine with the doctors the best course of action. You can actually say, no, I don't want my friend, my associate, my partner, the individual to be cared for in Peterborough because I've got power of attorney and it's more practical for them to be in London. Without it, they tell you where they're going.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're I'm a little bit mindful of time
Yeah.
right
Okay.
now, so we're kind of needing to kind of like wrap up. So,
Right.
is there anything else that you need to say? And you've got about 5 minutes.
All right. So my wrap up is this: your property and finance (LPA) is also very critical. If your name is the only one on your bank account and on your bills, and something happens to you and you lose mental capacity, then there is a problem. That means everything gets frozen, which means your local authority will then step in if you're the only one on the paperwork. So if you have your power of attorney, that individual can make sure bills can get paid. If there is a better rate in terms of a better price, that can be achieved. If there is a better mortgage, that can be done. If it's a case of that they need to sell the property rather than allow the council to put a charge or loan you the money, then that can be done. There's far more flexibility with someone that you care about to make sure that your interests are best served.
Okay.
Yeah?
Well, I hope you guys got the information that you guys wanted. Let me ask the secretary if there was any questions.
No questions yet.
No questions yet, but feel free to send in your questions. I said Auntie P will answer your questions. We're not doing a phone-in or anything like that today, but you're quite welcome to, if there's any questions that you want to ask, she'll answer them for you, basically. Do you want to say anything?
Yeah, I was going to say, if you've got any questions, either inbox Marjorie, Abundance of Love, or email me, auntiep with a Y, 2020@gmail.com. And that covers anything from estate planning, finance, any questions, and I'll signpost you if I don't have the answers.
Okay, so I think that's the end of the show tonight. I hope this was very, very informative. As I said, you guys asked for Auntie P to come back on, so that's why she's back on tonight. I hope she answered your questions, because these are, you guys wanted to know about wills. And it's really important. It really, really is important to have a will. I'm going to have to sort one out. I'm really, really going to have to. You know, you think, oh no, I don't need to do one yet. And it's something that I think we all try to put off.
Mm-hmm.
You don't like to do it because you think, oh, it's kind of final. So, you know, we don't like to do things like that, but we have to. There comes a point where we all have to. As long as you've got a little something, you have to make a will. And so, you know, if people want to contact Pauline, Pauline can steer you in the way. Auntie P can steer you in the way of, you know, what to do and how to do a will or whatever. You know, she can help you and guide you through, you know.
A free consultation, because you don't know what you don't know. Ask the questions, no matter how random you think it is.
Yeah.
Ask the question.
Okay. All right. So I will be seeing you guys again on Sunday. I'm hoping that this week I'm going to be on a Sunday. It's been a crazy couple of weeks for me. And so Sundays are just a little bit crazy right now. But this Sunday I will be on. I'm going to try to be on Sunday. So I just want to thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you guys so much. I hope this was informative. Love you guys. Kisses and hugs. See you guys on Sunday at 5:30. Don't miss it, you guys. Don't miss Sundays. We're going to be wrapping up a few things, a couple of weeks. We're going to be wrapping everything up. And we're going to talk about that on Sunday. But see you guys then. See you on Sunday at 5:30. Bye.
Bye.
Take care. See you guys. Love you guys.